The Marvels. What a great movie. Can't recommend it enough. Let me break it down for you. Let's start with the characters. Obviously, we have Captain Marvel, everyone's favorite Avenger. We all saw her first film, right? Well, just in case you didn't, Marvel planned ahead and was kind enough to recap it all at the start of this one. She is very relatable because the writers change her personality based on what the scene demands. Sometimes she's a stoic, grizzled veteran. Sometimes she's a quirky, funny girl who loves to jump rope. Sometimes she loves to annihilate. Sometimes she hates to annihilate.
Annihilator! I don't like that name.
Sometimes she's a magical princess that loves to sing. She is whoever you want her to be, so she should most likely have some quality that you'll enjoy at some point. She also likes to JoJo pose and never blink. Alongside Captain Marvel, we also have Captain Marvel. This Captain Marvel is not to be confused with this Captain Marvel, or this Captain Marvel, or this Captain Marvel, or this Captain Marvel. Nah, these Marvels weren't marvelous enough to make the cut. It's not like any of them have any critically acclaimed graphic novels that would make for great films. No, the best way to utilize a character like this would be to adapt him into an old lady that does nothing. Much cooler, much improved. But we can't call this Captain Marvel in the Marvels because the name Captain Marvel is already taken.
Huh?
Despite this character owning the name several decades prior in the comics, but oh well. In fact, her character arc is coming up with a new name, which never comes full circle. So you'll have to tune into whatever sequel she shows up in next to figure out what they'll call her. In the meantime, she will hold the prestige of being cinema's second best Rambo. Isn't that fun? Her personality is saying everything in the cadence of a joke.
She can turn light into physical matter, which I have never heard of.
So surely she'll make you laugh at some point. And speaking of laughter, take a look at Miss Marvel. She's really funny, and that is as deep as her character goes. She's a character that was so beloved that her titular comics had to be cancelled multiple times because they sold too well. And despite her character being created as late as 2014, she needed to speedrun her way over to the films as soon as possible because there aren't any other Marvel named heroes more popular than her, with much longer and more revered storylines that would have been much more relevant to the ongoing Infinity Saga because he was one of the first heroes to rival Thanos. Nah, no character like that exists. No, we needed Kamala Khan, a character with such likable powers that the movie completely replaced them with powers that are more in line with another character that definitely doesn't exist, so don't even talk about him. She also has a family. They are also really funny and in this movie for some reason. The first thing Miss Marvel does in this film is scream. This action is super cool and sets an appropriate tone for things to come. The villain hits her in the head with a hammer at some point. That was pretty funny. Speaking of, these three marvelous heroes must join forces to take on this evil woman, who is like Ronin, but less diverse because she isn't blue. She has the same motivation as a Dark Helmet from Spaceballs.
Now, commence Operation Vacuum Suck.
I'm not kidding. She does not solve the villain problem. But hey, at least they're consistent. Normally, Captain Marvel 1 could decimate this villain by herself, but this film needs some sort of stakes, right? So the three Marvels all trade places whenever they use their powers for some reason. That way, Captain Marvel 1 can't bulldoze her way through this adventure, and she'll need to keep those other two around, so that it'll be slightly less of an inconvenience when the swaps occur. That brings us to this film's plot. And admittedly, between all the people leaving and snoring in the theater, and the sheer rate of abject nonsense occurring on screen, this story was a bit tough to retain, but I'll do my best to recite it for you.
Hole in space. There's a different reality.
Brother, this guy stinks!
The Marvels each coincidentally touch a different space thing at the same time, and doing this somehow causes them to have the swap glitch. They then decide to team up to solve this problem, but it won't be easy, because they have drama with each other for some reason until they don't. Then this lady wants to steal air, but these green people don't want her to do that, so they make peace. But then the Marvels show up and ruin everything, and so the lady steals the air after all, thus destroying the green people planet. Ah, the Skrulls. They were once fearsome, powerful, and deadly, but not in this timeline. Because why would you want to see that, when they could be perpetual victims instead? The reason this lady wants to steal air is because Captain Marvel 1 gave her planet's sun a heart attack, and now her planet lacks the resources to survive. So her plan is to just suck up said resources, such as air and water, from other planets. The movie never questions the practicality of a plan like this, so neither will we. Later, the Marvels play with a jump rope in order to master their swapping abilities. They then go to a planet where people can't talk normally, and instead have to sing every word. It gets revealed that Captain Marvel 1 is secretly married to the prince of this planet, and so they have an entire musical song and dance scene together, while Miss Marvel and Captain Rambeau stand in the background and make jokes while eating popcorn. If you like annoying movies, don't worry. This film is guaranteed to scratch that itch. They need to be on the musical planet because they think the evil woman will want to steal its water. They are correct, so a big battle occurs, but the swapping makes the fight too tough, so the Marvels lose and cry on the beach while the water gets sucked. I'm sure it was a really sad scene, but I couldn't hear it because of the snoring. What else happens in this movie? Then some cats show up. Isn't that wacky? And hey, this film doesn't have the worst CGI Marvel has to offer, so there's a compliment. Let's see, Nick Fury was there. You like him, right? Unfortunately, he doesn't make out with an alien in this one, but he does do some other stuff. The team eventually annihilates the evil woman, and then they stop swapping places for some reason. Then Captain Rambeau has to trap herself in another universe, so that the hijinks may continue in the next product. Unless said product gets cancelled, which is very likely. Towards the end of the film, Captain Marvel 1 defibrillates the Sixth Star, and that somehow solves all the planet-sucking problems. But yeah, that's it. That's the movie. It's so good it's hard to think of anything else to say about it, but I can guarantee it's exactly what the fans want. Forget about adapting comics. We don't want to see likable heroes with fun powers face off against dangerous, cold-blooded villains. We don't want any reoccurring characters to have any semblance of reverence and respect. No, we want the most obscure and unlikable characters on the roster to come together to play with cats and scream at the camera. We want a relentless barrage of jokes to pour out of every character's mouth, while radio music plays in the background. We want previously enjoyed characters like Nick Fury to sit in the background like an unhelpful slug and take selfies. We want a hero who never has to struggle, because her overwhelming power can easily solve every problem. And our supporting heroes should have messy and confusing powers that are always just helpful enough to save the day. You see, their powers can't be inconsistent if they don't make sense. And that sentiment could be extended to this film's entire theme. And that's part of what makes the Marvel so groundbreaking, as it truly pushes the boundaries for what defines a movie. Plot, characters, structure, stuff like that isn't really a priority in this film, because this isn't so much a product for entertainment as it is an endurance test. This movie will challenge you to turn away, to fall asleep, or to even leave the theater. But for those who are able to endure it, you will come out at the end as stronger people. Your willpower will be like iron. Your patience will become eternal. Your gratitude for the life you had before you saw this film will be colossal. And because of that, The Marvels is a perfect movie. Real talk, this movie is hardly even worth wasting breath on. This thing is just pathetic. Making fun of it feels like kicking a corpse. There's nothing to gain by talking about this. It's such an easy target that it's hardly even fun to poke jokes at. It's not even worth getting mad about. We all knew how this movie would turn out from the moment they announced it. We know it sucks. Marvel knows it sucks. There's nothing anyone can truly say to realistically defend this garbage. This is what the MCU has become. Long gone are the days where theaters were packed wall to wall with engaged and devoted fans who would clap and cheer upon seeing their favorite characters show up on screen. Now the theaters can barely fill half capacity, and those who do show up are so detached from what they're watching that many won't be invested long enough to stick around for the credits. It didn't have to be this way. They had so many easy layups that they just threw in the trash, and then they took their trash and threw it on the big screen. Well, whatever. That's all I have to say about this one. If you want more insightful and deep reviews such as this one, be sure to subscribe. The next video will be the finale of Where They Went Wrong with Thor.